going to be Don Hall, but it's not time to vote yet because we have a second speaker. And our second speaker is Marcus Anderson. And Marcus, I believe you emailed me concerning your speech to give me your title, but I wasn't able to access my email this morning.
Okay.
So, can you tell me your title now?
Yes, the title of my speech is Aviation as a Career.
Aviation as a Career?
Yes.
Marcus Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, may I move the podium to the center?
And let's start the timing after we get this in place into the handshake. There we go. Thank you, Marcus.
Mr. Toastmaster. First of all, I would like to thank Toastmasters for allowing me to speak before you today. And as I look over the room and as I've come to know most of you, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but I'm sure that 80% of us are in the same business, that business being aviation. Well, I am a 30-year veteran in aviation. I work for a major company here in Los Angeles, and I won't give the name. And I've been in aviation now with this particular company for 16 years, and I've worked for other major companies here in Los Angeles. However, it wasn't always that way with me. On a couple of speeches that I gave, I mentioned that I was from Alabama. And being a child in Alabama, growing up there, I wasn't exposed to a lot of things, aviation being one of them. As far as I would go as a child growing up, the closest I came to aviation was flying a kite. But it wasn't so that I could learn aerodynamics. It was just a toy that everybody played with as a child. Aviation was nowhere in my thinking. It was something that was so far out of reach for me that I never even considered it. Not only me, but there was no one I knew that was in aviation. In my mind, aviation was for that select group of scientists that just sit down in a dark room or a lit room somewhere and they made spaceships fly. Every now and then, though, across my little town of Mulga, we would see an airplane fly across, and that's about as close as we came. Not only did I not have any association with aviation, I never flew. When we got ready to go on vacation, my father would put us all in the car and we would go on vacation. If we wanted to go to New York, he would put us all in the car and we would drive up to New York. If we were going to go on vacation, he would put us all in the car and we would go on vacation. We never flew an airplane. So the exposure was very, very minimal for me until I came to Los Angeles. When I came to Los Angeles, I did not have aviation on my mind. What I had on my mind was being a movie star. And that is what I went after. True enough, I studied at Theater of Arts down here on the corner of Wilshire and Crenshaw. I did a couple of commercials, got a little bit part in a little movie they called Rocky. But even with all of that, it wasn't a passion of mine, being in the movies. Number one, it's boring. I know what we see on TV, but it's really boring. It's long days, it's long nights, and the food is off of a catering truck. And I didn't necessarily like that, but I didn't know I didn't like it until one day I was at Hollywood Car Wash, and a young lady came through in a car, and I was working there by virtue of a friend of mine that got me a job, and she happened to be a flight attendant for a little company called Continental Airlines. And we got to speaking, and at that time I was also spinning records. They call them CDs now, but I was spinning records at this club and invited her up, and she came up, and we got to talking a little bit more. Little did I know that the gentleman that owned the club was a guy by the name of Jethro West, and he was what they call a lead man for aircraft maintenance at Continental Airlines. So one thing led to another. They said, well, Marcus, I never knew that you were interested in aviation. Well, my background is auto mechanics. I didn't think about it. I came here to be a movie star. Another thing led to another thing. She said, well, how would you like to work for Continental Airlines? I said, well, sure, because I'm looking at the beauty of it. That was on a Friday. That Tuesday I was in for an interview. Continental Airlines hired me. My first job in aviation was in catering. I would cater the aircraft, but what that did for me was gave me exposure. I now got to know the pilots. I got to know the ground crew. I got to know other mechanics. And me with my big mouth, because I talked all the time, blah, blah, blah. They said, well, why don't you go and get your A&P license? Because I was impressed by those guys. You know, the flight attendants seem to love them, and you see the pilots, you know, they walk through the hangar, you know, and they got that Jimmy Stewart kind of thing going on, and flight attendants, well, and it's always as if they never saw you. You know, it's like they got that halo around there, and I was impressed by that. I really was. So I went to West LA, got my A&P license. Lo and behold, Continental Airlines hired me. Now I'm one of those guys. When you go to go to the terminal and you see waiting on your people to come in on the flight, you see those guys walking around there. I was one of those guys now. But it was the exposure that turned me on or introduced me to aviation. That's why today I would like to talk to you about aviation as a career. Not for you, because you're already in your career. You're doing pretty good. And if you're like me, you know, aviation has allowed me to, kind of phrase by John Kennedy, to have the best of both worlds. Aviation has provided me with a Corvette and a Cadillac. So I've had the best of both worlds. And aviation provided that for me. Aviation provided benefits that I would have never thought of. This company that I work for now gives me medical benefits. I got a perfect retirement benefits. I can travel all over the world. I can ship packages for little or nothing. So aviation, for me, has been a great career. I have been invited to come out to Compton Airport starting in April, where I will be speaking to young aviators out there, the young pilots, the young mechanics, and talking to them about aviation as a career. And I would like to invite you, seeing as how you are also in aviation, and I'm not saying you have to go out to Compton with me, but there are young people in the communities that really don't know about aviation. They think when we say aviation, we think Continental Airlines, get on the plane, go on vacation, see grandma. But aviation is big. I mean, it's really, really big. There's space travel. There's commercial aviation. There's military warfare and aviation. There's the guy that do the crop dusting and aviation. And that's not all. If it fly, it's aviation. Satellites are aviation. In aviation, this is one of the only careers where you can literally say the sky's the limit. And the sky is the limit. This Saturday on the Modern Marvels, they have this TV show called Modern Marvels, and they say by the year 2026, we will have the space car. The only problem we have with it right now are the tires. What are we going to do with the tire? Because it causes a lot of friction on the ground, so forth and so on. So they've already designed and have a prototype where they're going to do this thing with the grass and have these electronic sensors on the ground where we'll never hit the ground. Just get in your car, take off, and fly. There's a gentleman down here in San Fernando Valley right now that will give you a flight into outer space costing $137,000. The future is aviation. We've all seen this cartoon, The Jetsons, where he gets in this little jet car and he goes from one building to another. Then he gets out of the car and folds it into a briefcase. He takes it into his office. Well, there's a gentleman in New York City right now that will give you travel from one building to another building and you never hit the ground. Costing $3,000 per flight. Aviation is the future. And aviation also is the only business that touches every other industry, and every other industry don't touch aviation. Let me tell you what I mean. Say you want to be a doctor. Well, we don't need doctors in aviation. Pilots got to be checked out. Say you want to be a chef. Why not be a chef for a major aviation company? I could go on a little bit more with you on this. This is a 7-part speech. I'm giving you the first part. I would like to come back later with part 2, if you will, but I see I'm out of time, Mr. Toastmaster.